the Villains Media Network. Now introducing your hosts, Jay Johnson's Cowboy Cody Slovinsky, Vandy Chris Keenhold, and Mr. Cheesy himself, Randy Jowers. Let's start the show, boys!
Welcome in is the Golden Broom Podcast, which, should we call it the Golden Syndicate tonight? I think that would probably be fair. I mean, we're joining up with our boys with Sunbelt Syndicate. We've got Dom, we've got TJ. Vandy Chris is also here. We will be joined by Roane State Community College head baseball coach Cam Hamsley here shortly. We got a national championship to talk about. Coastal Carolina, LSU, rematch of 2016 Super Regionals, where Coastal went into Baton Rouge and took 2 in a row, broke their hearts, then went on to win the national championship against Jay Johnson coached Arizona Wildcats. So it's fun. So boys, how y'all doing this evening?
Doing pretty good, man. Thanks a lot for having us on. We would love to preview this with someone who knows LSU inside and out, and we know we have the perfect person here in Vandy Chris. I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
No, great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, let's talk some national championship.
Let's do it. So I think the big thing to point out going into this is something that you rarely see in the College World Series are two teams that have their pitching rotation ready to go. And I love it. Mm-hmm. So why don't y'all kind of introduce the fans to Sunbelt baseball per se? To Coastal Carolina, obviously, but just the Sunbelt style.
Well, I'll start with just a quick hitter because TJ's our resident Coastal expert. And the reason is because he's former alum. He's got the shirt on for you there too. But the quick thing to sell you on the Sun Belt and where they're at as far as competition-wise goes, actually a little bit of a down year this year, okay? But last season, they were one of 3 conferences who had all people participating in their conference championship tournament that had all teams in the top 100 RPI. The only other 2 conferences are obviously the SEC and the ACC. So that just a quick hitter on kind of the talent level of the Sun Belt. And luckily they're in that region where they get to match up with the ACC and SEC quite a bit throughout the year and over the past couple seasons. But I'll let TJ take it a little more specifically in the coastal direction from here.
No, absolutely. Everything Dom said, very true. We like to, in the Sun Belt, consider ourselves to be a power conference for baseball. Just regionality. You guys know with the SEC, get to play baseball 365 days a year. And Coastal Carolina, with that, has really grown this program. It's in its 50th year right now, and it's one of the top baseball programs since 1975, winning percentage in the top 10 nationally. So this is a Coastal Carolina team that kind of took the nation by storm in 2016. Just based on the fact that they had that miracle Cinderella run coming out of the Big South Conference. Nobody really knew about Coastal Carolina, but since then, they have been tremendous. They've been a tremendous program. They average in their history over 36 wins a season. They average less than 20 losses a season. It is a tremendous baseball program that is, they've got a chip on their shoulder. As you saw in the press conference today, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit. But yeah, this is a very good Coastal Carolina team this season in particular, mainly due to the pitching staff that you talked about. But this Coastal Carolina team is the real deal this year.
Oh, for sure. And it's funny you mentioned the press conference. I personally thought that reporter worded that question horribly.
Thank you.
Yes,
because
exactly.
I mean, let's be real. When you're at this point in the season, your eyes are on getting through LSU. You're not there to praise them. I mean, obviously the teams respect each other. You both made it to the national championship. There is a respect there. There's no hate. The only thing that matters is hoisting that trophy. So obviously they don't care about the Tigers. Why would they? I don't understand why that question would have been asked that way. Now, they could have changed how they said it, though. Like, they could have been like, what are some things you see in LSU's game that stick out to you, or something on those lines?
Well, but if you notice, that is what was asked of LSU about Coastal. And that kind of brings me to the big point that I had. I told Dom before I really wanted to get into this. This is nothing to do with LSU. I know that there are some LSU fans that are upset with Coastal Carolina for the way that the press conference went down, but I just want to provide some context about this year in particular. We've talked about their history as a program, but this year in particular, they have a resume to be a top 8 national seed. They are on a 26-game winning streak, beating Clemson twice in that stretch to round out the year. They beat another, what ended up being a regional host in Southern Miss, out of the Sunbelt. And then coming out of that game, they get slighted not only to not a top 8 national seed, but they're slighted all the way down to 13 behind Clemson and behind teams like Oregon and Ole Miss that don't make it out of their own regionals. So they answer the call. Florida, I know that this is an SEC podcast, and I'm really not trying to – to start anything.
Well, I will say first, we are not a SEC. Like, we cover a lot of SEC, but no, we 100% across the board. So you're good. You're good.
Okay. Well, for the SEC fans that are watching, this is nothing but respect to Florida. Some fans did come after Coastal Carolina, talking about how this is an easy regional, talking about how this was the perfect fit for them. And it was heard loud and clear in Conway, and Coastal answered the call. The next year, or the next week, they go up against Auburn. And once again, the media has something to say about Coastal Carolina, particularly one actually SEC-centered podcast, which I'm not going to mention. And he has since apologized for what he said, but those were some outlandish comments that were handled and heard, and they took care of business 2-0. And they've since beaten Arizona, Oregon State, number 8, and then they beat Louisville 11-3 to punch their ticket. So when you get to the press conference and one of the first questions out of the reporters' mouths is something along the lines of, "Aren't you just so happy to be here?" That is what pissed off Coastal Carolina, and it had nothing to do with LSU. They've been scouting LSU the entire week leading up to this game. They have nothing but respect for LSU. They're chasing number 8, but Coastal Carolina is in this game too, and they do feel slighted by the media every step of the way. So it has nothing to do with LSU.
So let me ask you this question. So before the play started in Omaha, you heard a lot of people talking this junk about it should be reseeded. You guys covering the Sunbelt Conference and Coastal in particular, did you guys feel slighted by that kind of talk?
Not that I had heard. I personally didn't. I talk. I think that honestly, if you talk about reseeding, that probably helps Coastal. In that scenario, this particular year. So no, I don't think. Not that I had heard anyway. I'm sure that there are some Coastal fans that probably felt slighted, but no, I mean, Coastal Carolina has an identity. I covered them personally for many years. They have an identity where they are relentless. They are selfless. They do not care who's on the other side of the field. They're going to play the same game every single day, the same exact way. So I don't think it would have mattered. Coastal Carolina just shows up to play, and that is their identity.
For sure. And, the one thing that I find funny in the whole matter is the fact that, obviously when you look at the bracket, let's be real. It's heavily stacked on the bottom and it's not as stacked on the top, but it's not because it was on purpose. It's the fact that those teams on the top beat elite teams to get there and proved, hey, we deserve to be here. So at the end of the day, Coastal and the teams on their side had to go through hell to get there. While, let's be real, I'm the most biased LSU fan in the world, but we had one of the easiest routes to where we are now. Thankfully, we were able to get through some solid teams in Omaha to get to the championship. But, our regional was not the toughest regional. Our super, no disrespect to West Virginia, very solid team, but there were some other teams out there that were a lot better than West Virginia that we could have played. So,
it wasn't like going on the road to Auburn, was it?
No, exactly. I mean, let's just be real. You cannot win a series at Auburn has been the thing the whole year, but Coastal goes in there and handles business like it was nothing. I mean, while some of the scores were closer than what the play showed, I mean, Coastal did not struggle in that series by any means.
And what's funny is that first game should have been the game that they lost, if any, right? Because they were up 5-1, big rain delay. Auburn comes storming back, and you just go, nothing's going right. It's going the other direction. There's really not much you can do about it. And as TJ said, these kids just continue to battle back. They didn't start, hitting home runs left and right to win the game. They just came through in the clutch when it mattered. And we talked about it on the show all season. They're just really, really well-rounded. I mean, I know that's not like the most enticing way to say it for selling people on to watch the game, but they're just so solid everywhere. The mistakes that helped them beat Oregon State, right? Like Coastal really doesn't have those. And if they do have those little flubs, they overcome them easily by putting points on the board in the next inning. So, these things that hinder some teams just don't seem to hinder Coastal Carolina the same way. Yeah. So I want to have one thing on that press conference. That guy says he asked that question every year, which shocks me in one way. But the other thing is I'm wondering if he just asked it way different to try and church it up this year and said something about what do you admire? Because you ask somebody what they admire about the other team. Of course, the first response was silence because everyone's like, how do we answer this? I agree with what you guys said about it just wasn't phrased the right way and kind of, I think, just caught everybody off. I mean, even the coach Schnall was looking to the side, what are you going to say to that, fellas? I don't think he knew, he wasn't trying to say anything in that moment either. Cause he's like, I'm gonna let them take it. Cause I don't know how to answer that, So,
yeah. So, it's they're expecting him to praise LSU. Why? That's pointless.
So we're not here to
ride their coattails. So.
Yeah. Me as just a fan of college baseball, I thought Coastal's players handled it perfectly.
Yeah.
This isn't about LSU. This is about us. We're worried about us. I thought they handled that perfect.
They did.
And also,
100%.
They did.
Personality, right? Those guys were just nothing. I don't know. What do you want me to say? It wasn't, they weren't flat affect in the face. It's not very serious, nothing impresses me. No, I mean, the guy was nothing. I mean, what do you want me to say to that?
Yeah.
It wasn't like he said it demeaning. He was trying to be I don't know what you want me to say other than whatever.
Well, and the other funny thing about that is you guys have seen Coastal Carolina on the national stage. You've seen Jacob Morrison now twice. This is his second moment. He pitches a gem against Oregon State, and he has this moment. And that's the most emotion that we've seen out of Jacob Morrison all season long. I'm just putting that out there. We're kind of new to this as well. So it is nice to see him enjoying the moment a little bit.
Absolutely. And speaking of Jacob Morrison, that's a guy I'm ready to see toe the rubber against Anthony Ianson on Sunday. That's going to be fun.
So, I want to ask you guys, what did you guys think about the LSU press conference? Because that had some interesting information in it too that has gone untalked about. And that's what their players saying, oh, we don't really focus on academics. We're here to play baseball. I mean, come on, man.
Well, you do know that he was being sarcastic. He has a 3.7 GPA, by the way. I would like to throw that out there. He's one of the biggest jokesters ever.
I was going to say, I could tell, again, just like with the Coastal thing, you could cut that thing where the guy goes, well, we don't really care about LSU, which is what some people did, right? They ended the clip at that point.
Yep.
Oh, they don't care about LSU. No, he said right afterward what you just said, Vandy Chris, which was, this is an us thing. We just have to go out there and perform. Same thing with the way that he responded. As soon as I saw the text, I was like, what? And I clicked the video and I'm like, no, this is way out of context. The kid was obviously joking. They were all laughing about it afterward. Right. It's what I think he was saying it as, very much sarcastically to,
some self-deprecating humor.
Yes, exactly. Yes. There you go. That's a better way to say it.
And then yesterday there was some media clips shared where Cade Anderson was asked about Coastal, and he said he didn't know if they were in North Carolina or South Carolina. And then all these media people deleted the video because they were getting trashed for sharing it, because it's not like he's saying, yeah, I mean, because let's be real, you don't have to know geography. That's not your job right there. I mean, most people probably wouldn't know the difference of what state they're in. I mean, obviously, if you follow the sport and all that heavily, then yes, you're going to know where they are. But if you don't, I mean, you just know they're in the Carolinas. That's all you're going to know.
Mm-hmm. And I will also say that Coastal Carolina fans can get a little edgy on stuff like that. Just due to the fact that it's taken us since 2016 when they became nationally relevant. The guy running the press conference after Oregon State still called them the Chanticleers, which is not how you pronounce that mascot. So the fans get a little up and tight about it, and rightfully so. But I think that has more to do with the fact that it's just like, we know where Baton Rouge is. Like let's just the same sort of respect all around. And it really, like, I can't emphasize this enough. It has nothing to do with LSU. It has to do with the way that the media portrays Coastal.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
I moved to the Northeast in the middle of high school from North Carolina. And every time people be like, "You were from South Carolina, right?" I mean, it's not even just a school thing. Like, people up there just I don't know why, they just assume like these states are interchangeable. I don't know what makes them think that. I don't know. To me, I've been to both states. Certain parts are vastly different. Certain parts you wouldn't know, which state you're in. So it's just kind of comical at this point that the Carolinas get mixed up all the time. I've seen people think Charlotte's in South Carolina. Well, there's literally the border. They're not necessarily like way off base, but it's pretty obvious that Charlotte is in North Carolina. So anyway, it seems to just be a Carolina thing across the board.
I mean, to be fair, when I was in high school, I went on this church trip to Philadelphia, and there was another church there from New York, and the kids straight up asked us, well, they said first, they're like, we didn't know that you guys wore shoes in Alabama. And we're like, what? And then they actually asked us if we had shopping malls. And I was like, all right. I'd love to hear it.
So you're from Amish country, apparently, Cody.
Yeah. I'm
actually your wife is kind of from Amish country, right?
She is actually very close.
I actually have an Amish settlement like 20 miles from me. No lie.
Of course you do.
I thought you looked a little familiar there, Chris.
A little bit, all right. So TJ, let me ask you. When me and Cody did the Omaha preview, he asked me about some players that I thought that were going to show up during the World Series. And I said, off the top, Coastal Carolina, Pato, and Sykes. Talk about what their performance in Omaha has meant to the team, and if you think they can continue that trend in the finals.
Now, what I will say, you cut off from me a little bit when you said the names. I heard Sykes. Is that what I?
Yeah, Pato and Sykes.
Pato and Sykes. Yeah, I mean, those are two guys. We'll start with Sykes first. Dean Miho, starting center fielder for 40 games this season. He goes down with a broken hand, and that, up the middle, those are the most important positions: shortstop, catcher, and center field. So losing a center fielder, big blow for Coastal Carolina. But Wells Sykes came in and immediately made his impact known. He starts the Clemson game in Conway. He makes 3 Sports Center type catches. One of them made the top 10. So like he's been, and since then he's been effective at the plate. He has been a very strong defensive outfielder. So he's a guy that we really, I would say Coastal really needed to step up. And now that Dean Mijos is back and he is getting some at-bats as a designated hitter, it just adds another bat to the lineup that you can rely on, and that you're locked up the middle. Pato is in the long line of right fielders for Coastal Carolina that start the season with no expectations, part of like a platoon, and then they just show out and they have a really good year. I call it the Graham Brown effect, because Graham Brown a couple years ago, he was just looked at as just another guy, and then he leads the team in home runs. That's just that he's just following that path of right fielders that just does a really great job, both defensively in the corner and at the plate. So they've been huge for us in that outfield.
For sure.
And Tizzy's back now too, right, TJ?
I'm sorry?
Tizzy's back now?
Domenico Tazzi. He's yes, he was more of a designated hitter, but he got some reps in the outfield as well. He's been there, but since Dean Mijos came back and he started hitting, they really haven't gone back to him. But that is another thing. They've got a great pinch hit option in Tazzi on the bench. So this Coastal lineup is deep.
That's good to hear. I mean, and the one player, I guess, that everybody's been talking about lately, Caden Bodine.
Yep.
The best framer I have ever seen in the college game. I've never seen someone frame pitches the way that man does. Like, I literally on Twitter the other day, I said that he should get the most outstanding player award off of that alone. Because I saw pitches that were out of the zone that he pulled in, and I'm like, that is just masterful. And I can see how an umpire would not even notice it because it's so quick.
Yeah, it's just the way that he talks about it too, because he has been talked about his receiving since that graphic came out. He puts a lot of work in to his receiving. When he came up through the program, he was a freshman in 2023. He made a name for himself with his bat. He was a big switch hitting catcher, made a mockery of the 2023 Conway Regional. He was on fire. Coastal doesn't end up getting out of that, but he's just continued to, ever since then, work on his receiving, and his arm has gotten better. His transfer's gotten better. And there's a lot of people that are saying he's big league ready. And that's just because he is a tremendous catcher, tremendous receiver. And he's also a leader. You heard him speak today. Like, that's the kind of leadership that he brings. And you need that in a catcher.
For sure. And I enjoy watching him play. I was a catcher growing up, so I appreciate that position more than anything. When I see
you
these
and me both, how are your knees?
Oh, they're terrible. I had complete knee surgery on the right leg, and it's still giving me troubles, and the left leg hurts just as much.
3 knee surgeries myself, snap, crackle, and pop over here.
Yep, absolutely. It's the worst. I had it back in 2005, and I kid you not, a year ago, I got filling back in my knee, and it's the weirdest thing to me. But, yeah, I can't complain. It is what it is.
How old were you when you got that? 2005, man? Were you
12? I was 15. And the bad thing was I was playing basketball in my driveway by myself, and I just jumped up for a rebound like Ben Wallace, where he did that thing with his arms. And when I landed, my leg, let's pretend this is my knee, and it's supposed to bend this way, it went like this, and everything snapped. And I slowly just come back to my feet like I'm Michael Jackson or something. And then I put pressure, and I just dropped. And I was like, uh-oh. And they went and said it was essentially like a guillotine went through my leg.
Holy cow.
Cool. And Dr. Lee Mack did my surgery. Dante Culpepper was getting his knee surgery back then. And that's when he had his big knee injury. And he was getting it the same day as me. He was in the prep room with me, and I was like, whoa, that's Dante Culpepper. All right. And yeah, so that was a terrible recovery, and I thought I was all good, and I come back, and next thing you know, I'm out throwing, getting ready for baseball, and my elbow pops, and I was like, all right, I'm retired.
Oh,
and
man.
that was it. It's all good, though.
I did not know that story, man.
Yes, it was not fun, to say the least, but hey, I would have never gotten in sports media had that not happened, so I have no complaints.
I mean, got to meet Dante Culpepper. That's not a lot of people can say that.
Exactly.
There you go.
So it was a ton of fun. But no, so one thing I want to talk about now is how these two teams match up, because they're actually more similar than people may realize. So
Absolutely.
One thing that both these teams are good at is getting on base. And it doesn't have to be by getting a hit. They're good at drawing walks and drawing the ball, smacking them on the arm or leg or wherever it happens to hit them. That right there, to me, I think is going to be key this weekend.
Absolutely.
And something to monitor. Because I know Coastal leads the country with 165 hit by pitches. LSU's up there. They're not in I don't think they're quite in the hundreds. They're just under, but it's something that it's a small ball mentality. You know, Coastal, they like to swipe bags. They do a lot of sacrifice hits to get runs. Like, they make it happen. LSU, on the other hand, they do sacrifice hits, but they don't swipe a lot of bags. They rely on getting that extra base hit, like a double. Like, Jay Johnson is big on leading the league in doubles. So when you see these two lineups, like, what do y'all see?
You want to take it or me?
I'll let you take this, man. You're
okay.
You're the expert.
Well, kind of like what you're saying. I see a lot of Coastal in LSU in the way that they attack. You know, Kevin Schnall's in his first year, but he was on for the last 9 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the staff with Gary Gilmore, and Gary Gilmore just established this culture with Coastal Carolina that was, we're going to get on base. It doesn't matter how we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They've been known in the past for hitting a ton of home runs and leading the nation in home runs. They've been known for the cleanup hitter, or batters 1 through 9 being able to drop down bunts, steal bases. Like, he was a baseball purist, and that is what Kevin Schnall has adapted into his own coaching style as well. This team's scrappy. 108 stolen bags on the season. It is actually 176 hit by pitches on the year, which is just becoming Dom knows it's a media storyline that I really don't want getting out there. But it is they plant roots in the batter's box, and they're not afraid to get hit because it means they're going to first.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's timely hitting. Coastal isn't really a star-studded lineup. There's Caden Bodine, of course, but like, there's 1 through 9. There's a guy that can get the job done. There's a guy that's due for a big game, and I see a lot of that in LSU as well. LSU has actually a slight edge in the lineup. You know, they as a team, they're batting 298. Coastal's batting 290. I really think it's going to come down to pitching. And that's that's another place that LSU is very good as well.
I'll take a swipe at the hit by pitch thing, just because we've talked about it. And my little input will be, I think that's going to be a big storyline, because I feel like that's going to be under the biggest microscope. It's going to happen this weekend, right? Those guys on the ump crew do not want to be the one that, you know, ends up all over social media because the guy clearly kind of moved to the ball, but they said he didn't move, or vice versa, right? Like, they want to get the call right. So they're going to probably look at a lot of I feel like we're probably going to see a lot of reviews for anything that's hit by pitch on either side, obviously. Yes. But certainly because of the storyline of Coastal coming in, you have to, you know, as an outsider who doesn't know how it's looked or whatever, you have to look at it, right? I mean, it is going to jump out at you on a stat sheet that says these guys are moving in front of the ball, which we know is actually not the case very often. No. But, you know, it does happen. And so they're going to be under a bigger microscope in front of the entire country. Yes. And so it's going to be a big deal whether it seems to work or not. But as TJ said, they don't need that to get on base. They just use it when it happens. So we'll see if it becomes a big storyline or not. But hopefully that's not really a big focus.
One of the things sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and one thing too is, like, LSU, so they've drawn 93 hit by pitches. Pitching wise, though, like, our starters, Cade Anderson, he's hit 3 batters this year. Anthony Ianson, he's hit 4. So it's not like they hit a lot of guys. So it will be interesting. Do they get rattled and hit people? I mean, it does happen. I mean, we have a few pitchers that, I mean, unfortunately, it's just they do hit a few people. I mean, I think the most we have would be Chase Shores. He's hit 9 guys, which that sucks because he throws 102 mile an hour fastball. So, I mean, it's not fun to get hit by him.
But Cody, to be fair, how many teams has LSU actually faced that gets in there and plant themselves in that batter's box and don't move?
You know, there's a few that we have seen. A team like South Carolina did that actually a lot in our series with them. I mean, there's just a few SEC programs that are like that already, but no one like Coastal. I mean, Coastal, straight up, they get the job done, and I 1,000% respect it.
Trained to take those hits, like you said, Cody. If there's someone's throwing 100, man, I don't know how they do it.
I'm jumping. I'm crying.
I'm ducking out of the way. Yep. Sorry, TJ.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you bring up pitching, and that's another reason that they have trained it. Just when you are able to, before you even step in the batter's box, take away that inner half of the plate, that's just huge for a lineup. It's going to be a test for Anderson and Ianson the first two games. Just who's going to not be afraid to paint that inner corner. That's really, if they can get control of that inner corner and they're not afraid to go inside on Coastal, I think Coastal's going to have a tough time.
Absolutely. My buddy Jim Cross hosted In Off the Bench, which I was on his show earlier today. He's asking why there's so much Till on here. He's got a good point.
That's right, baby. Purple at, man.
He says Anderson ain't afraid of anything. So I thought about wearing LSU stuff tonight, but I was like, you know what? I'm going as neutral as I possibly can. I'm going with the gray that I'm already wearing. I didn't even feel like changing for it. But no, getting into pitching though. So obviously Coastal has very good pitching staff this year. Great ERA as a staff in general, but Jacob Morrison, he sticks out, and he's had a very good season this year. And when you match up their 1-2-3 of starters and LSU's 1-2-3, there is a difference in their pitching styles, but I do wonder how each team is going to match up to facing these good arms, because one thing that Coastal has is 3 right-handed pitchers starting for them this weekend. LSU's offense, they struggle more with lefties. Right-handed seems to be their niche, but there has been struggle, though, when they've faced really good pitching. I don't know why it happens, but it just happens to happen. But one thing I do have a question for you guys about. I noticed that obviously it's hard to find weaknesses with Coastal, considering when you lose 11 games an entire season and you're on a winning streak like you are, it's just hard to point out, oh, well, hey, here's an issue. Well, I did some deep diving today because I'm like, I've got to find a flaw. There's got to be somewhere where there is an issue I can point out. And I found an issue finally.
All right, let's hear it.
It is when they face an elite left-handed arm. That has been an issue for them. So earlier in the season, Ethan Norby, 19 strikeouts against them, which obviously he pitched the game of his life that day. So I can't really say, oh, well, that's just on Coastal. But another game they had against Alabama, they faced a lefty. They struggled. Texas State, they faced a solid lefty. They struggled with them. Now, obviously, I'm not saying, oh, well, because you struggle in those games, that means you're screwed come tomorrow. No, by all means, no. But I will say, though, Cade Anderson leads the country in strikeouts. His one weakness that he really has this year is that he's allowed more home runs than you would like to see. I think at this point, I want to say he's allowed 15 home runs this year, which is a very high number for a good pitcher to allow. I mean, what do you guys see with this Coastal offense going against an elite left-handed arm like this?
No, I mean, if you put an elite lefty at the college level out on the mound, you're going to run into a team that has problems. I have not dug that deep into splits with righties versus lefties for Coastal. They just find a way to get on base. It really is that simple for them. I don't think that they're really paying much attention to what side of the mound that they're throwing from. They're going to find a way to get on base. They've had success against both righties and lefties throughout the course of the season. Norby was the outlier. Norby was the outlier where they ran into a buzzsaw, and Norby had a career day. We got to see it again against Florida in the Conway Regional. Norby finished out his college career on a high note, but there really hasn't been that. There's only been one team that has had Coastal's number per se, and that's Troy. That they took 2 out of 3 from Coastal Carolina. But Coastal was able to come back in that mid game, force the rubber match. So in terms of going back to this lineup against lefties, Bodine's a switch hitter. He is more effective from the left side. So that is going to hurt him. You would think. He has hit from the right side more in Omaha. So I think that might help him in this matchup. For the rest of the lineup, I don't think there will be much of a problem. Not to say he's not a great pitcher. I just don't think that's something that I would focus in on
Sure.
as what might be an issue come tomorrow, if that makes sense. That was a long-winded answer.
No. You're definitely on it right there. I mean, I think the one thing that we can throw out the window is anything that's happened before tomorrow does not matter at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Their winning streak means nothing to them at this point. All that matters is winning 2 of 3 games over the next few days. And
most important game's the next one.
Exactly. And LSU is going to look at it the exact same way. And the one thing that I think really sticks out with LSU's offense facing these pitchers are really kind of the same strengths that Coastal has about just getting on base. The one thing that we have struggled with, and Vandy Chris is way too familiar with it as well, unfortunately, is leaving guys on base. And thankfully, over the last few weeks, it seems like that has not been as much of an issue. But obviously, the level of competition we've faced over these last few weeks has been very up and down. We've faced some lower end teams, but we also faced some really good teams, and they've just figured out how to get the job done. This weekend, I think the biggest key for all of these teams are don't try to do something different. What you've done all year has worked, and it has gotten you to this point. There is no reason to change your game plan in any way whatsoever. It's your best versus my best, and you just have to do your job, and that's all you can do.
Exactly.
And Chris has something in his mind.
I do have something in my mind. Something Coastal Carolina's done all year is Cameron Fluke's been a starter.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple weeks, the Super Regionals in Omaha, they brought him in as a reliever and piggybacking starters in one game. Do you think they're going to continue that in this series, or do you think they're going to go back to what they've done all year, and that's Cameron Fluke as a starter?
Well, to kind of start off, that first game in Omaha, I don't have any sources that confirm this, but based on what I've seen out of Coastal, they were trying to get Eichhoff to throw that day. He hadn't pitched in Auburn. He hadn't needed to. So he was coming in cold into Omaha, having not pitched since the Conway Regional. So I think that they wanted to, this is Riley Eichhoff is a guy who could be a number 1 at most schools in the country. And he's Coastal's number 3. So like there was never a doubt on whether or not he was ready for the moment. But at the same time, he is coming in cold. So I think that there was a discussion like, we need Fluke for game 1. Should we get that far in the College World Series final? So we're going to piggyback if Eichhoff doesn't start well. And then that way that keeps Eichhoff on the table for potentially game 3 of the College World Series. He ended up coming in, I want to say again. He came in again on the Wednesday game and started that game. So he's out until game 3. That's the game where I think, to answer your question, they might do that again, but they're not going to do it obviously with Fluke or Morrison. They're going to do it with Luke Jones. Luke Jones, freshman pitcher, who he's got like 45, I think it's 45 innings logged this year, somewhere around that number. But for a freshman, he is got some big wins under his belt. He started both games against Clemson, and he started the Sunbelt championship game against Southern Miss, and he got the win in all 3 of those games. So this is a kid who knows how to pitch in big spots. If they're going to do it, I think that they might start Luke Jones, go to Eichhoff, and then if all hell breaks loose from there, it's all hands on deck. And whoever can get them an inning is going to get them an inning. But I think Luke Jones is going to be that guy to stagger.
Yeah.
Cody, have they said who the starter is for you guys from game 1 yet?
Yeah, Cade Anderson's going.
It will be Cade. Okay.
Yeah. So Cage game 1, Ionson's going to be game 2, and then game 3 is interesting because
Are they going to get Cowan back, you think? Probably not.
Yeah, oh yeah. Cowan will be good to go.
I'll be good.
100% good to go. Yeah. So the cool thing about Cowan is that, he started his career at Wofford, and he was a starter for them last year. And this year he's been used, out of the bullpen a lot. The other day, just on a whim, they decided to go with him as a starter, which it made sense. They'd started him previously, but honestly, he'd been in a slump. It just had not been going his way probably the last month for some reason. He'd been one of the most dominant relievers in the country. And then the last month of the season, he just got cold, and it was weird. And his outing the other day was kind of like his redemption story. So I think that it'll be back to where he's used out of the bullpen this weekend. But if, let's say that it's like a 2-1 game going late, game 1 tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised to see Case and Evans come in and attempt to close it out. And then game 2, put everything into it and try to win it in 2. And then worst case scenario, if you go to game 3, you still have a few guys that have plenty of starting experience. So, that's the one advantage that really, both teams really have this advantage. They have probably 5 or 6 guys that could start a game for them, no problem. Like this is one of the weirdest national championships I've seen, where you see 2 teams that have so much depth to them that it doesn't matter who your starter is, because if you need to change it out, you can do it and it's fine. It'll be like business as usual. And both teams have this luxury. Your game 3 guy could literally be any of those guys, and it wouldn't matter. You're still going to probably play the same way. And I love that. Offensively, both guys are deep in depth on the bench. I love seeing that as well. I really just, when I usually every year in the national championship, or really leading in the College World Series, I can generally say who I think is going to win it all. And like 2023, Chris will tell you, I instantly said LSU's got it. Last year, I said Tennessee had it before the regionals even started. Like I can see it usually. This year is the first year where I have had no idea who was going to be meeting in the championship. And I still genuinely, unbiased fandom aside, have no idea who is going to win this series.
In whichever order that you want to put these 2 pitching staffs, you're looking at the 2 best pitching staffs in the nation.
Sure.
That is where I think that this series is so interesting, because both Jay Johnson and Kevin Schnall are going to be playing chess. You've got a ton of guys that can start games. You've got strong back ends of the bullpen. You've got capable and effective guys for those middle innings. This is going to be a lot of fun. And these might be longer games where we see, 3 or 4 changes per game. But this is the beauty of playing baseball with that amount of depth, as you were saying. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. So here's a funny story for you guys. This man right here, Jody Robinson, the legend. So he is the man behind the curse of Arkansas and Omaha. 100%. So to tell you the story on Jody, he was Augie Garrido's right-hand man, his assistant coach in the 1979 College World Series, where Cal State Fullerton met Arkansas for the national championship. And I am under the belief that he put some kind of hex, like where he sold his soul or something, for them to win that championship and Arkansas to play bad. And unfortunately, it has stuck with Arkansas ever since then, and they've had nothing but bad luck. That said, Jody did say, like the $1 Million Man says, everybody has a price. So he is willing to be contacted by Dave Van Horn and remove this curse if the money is right.
Whole lot of zeros, Jody. Whole lot of zeros.
Which, by the way, Jody is a cool man. He really is. Love talking to him about baseball.
Very nice.
I'm assuming Coach Hamsley's not coming on tonight.
Apparently he's not, but he did say he would be. But so I want to ask both Dom and TJ a question. With Vanderbilt being the number 1 seed, obviously we didn't get out of the regional. Do you think Vanderbilt could have played with Coastal and given them a game, or do you think Coastal is just that good that Vanderbilt's not beating them? I know what I think. I don't think Vanderbilt's beaten. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Dom.
I'll start off with just being upfront that I didn't really watch a lot of Vanderbilt this year. In fact, I don't know if I watched a single inning, but I know how good they were.
That's fair, right?
Yeah. I mean, we focus on a specific conference, so we do a lot of that. But it is interesting that they fell early, so you just have to think that of course Coastal will win, but it's just like every other sport, right? The transitive property doesn't always work. It's more about matchups than it is about like, well, if they beat them, then they're obviously going to beat them. So who's to know? It is interesting. I mean, they did go head to head in 2023, Chris, and we do know who won that one. So
yeah,
Riley Eichhoff again making an appearance.
Yes, we weren't very good.
So
we may have been in a regional, but we were not very good.
So I want to take a quick break from us talking about the championship series. So usually this is where we run an ad, but instead of running a normal ad, I want you to introduce everybody to your site and your media source that you guys are building and thriving in right now. Because Dom, I still remember when you were getting into college baseball fully. I still remember from the beginning when you came on with us. And seeing where you guys are now is just, it makes me super happy because it's awesome to see. So take a minute and just talk about your new site and everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. And then you guys were one of my first forays into like any kind of guest appearance on a baseball podcast because I would not have felt comfortable had I tried to reach out and say I'm some kind of expert because I wasn't. I mean, we started off the podcast as the Belt Baseball Beginners because even the guys on there with Marv and Seth who know baseball better as far as just the sport in general, they didn't really know, the ins and outs of the Sunbelt at all. And obviously there was a bunch of people who didn't, right? Because we just brought 4 new teams in. So we were all kind of getting our wits about us. And I was just taking notes left and right just to understand more things. How do we perform against this conference, that conference? So yeah, it was a slow start for me to even get involved, but having some people who I can go back and forth with really helped. Obviously that led me into the video podcasting side of things where I actually met TJ with I think it was a Twitter interaction, I believe really got us started. And he was doing reporting on college basketball at like the highest level because he's covering Syracuse basketball, which we know Syracuse's, communication degrees and what that holds as many Syracuse alum that they put on every sideline in the country, it seems like. So when I had him on, just the way he spoke, his preparedness, and just everything about it was like, this kid is solid. He is going to be very good at this. And we went our separate ways and did our own things for a little bit. And he reached out and he says, I want to take this to the next level. I'm a Coastal alum. I want to get back into the Sunbelt. And TJ, you can take it from there because the website's your baby, man.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate all of that, first of all. But yeah, I just had the idea. I've been toying around with this thing for a very long time. Before Dom, before Syracuse, even going up there, I have a love for the Sun Belt. I'm a Coastal Carolina grad, and I just remember not having a whole lot of opportunities, had to create my own. So I wanted to make it easier for not only Sunbelt fans to get their daily dose, because they're really, you have to either go to Twitter or you have to go to each individual athletic site to get your news for the Sun Belt. That's just how it is. And every now and then ESPN, when it's nationally relevant, when a JMU or a Coastal Carolina goes on a run in college football, then you get an article from ESPN and then you don't hear from them again. So we created the website. I wanted to give some students the opportunity to cover their teams. So we're in the process of recruiting right now, but yeah, we've got some articles up. You can watch the podcast directly from it. We try and keep the URL as updated as we can, and we are constantly growing right now. So I appreciate Dom giving me the opportunity, and I'm excited to see what happens. www.sunbeltsyndicate.com.
I love it. I love it.
See,
it's amazing this where it's growing.
to carry it full circle, the very first guest that me and Cody had on the original Golden Broom podcast was Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Very first guest.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
You came on as a guest before we ever got our third co-host, who is no longer with us.
Gotcha. Oh man, that's awesome. I didn't realize I was the first one. But what's really cool is obviously you guys were set. Like you guys had a show, you guys had a setup. I was like, man, this is awesome. I want to be like these guys. That's what I was telling myself, right? Like you had the video aspect, you had questions ready, you knew what to ask, but you also came with like background knowledge, so it was really cool. And I'm glad that we've kept in touch and now we're doing something like this. And obviously we can do more of these types of things in the future because I think we're both much in better spots now than where we were just a year or two ago. So when you guys reached out today, the only disappointment I had was I saw it too many hours later for me to be like, yes, immediately we want to do it with you guys. So I'm glad it still worked out though.
And the funny thing is we've been talking about hitting y'all up for weeks now. So, I was like, well, today I need to do it.
I think I actually reached out to Dom a couple of weeks ago, and he had something already scheduled, and we couldn't work it out.
Yep. Yeah, you guys were going to try and talk about the Sunbelt before we got to the Sunbelt conference tournament, and I believe that was the night we were going to do a conference tournament preview ourselves. It's like, oh no, can we do it another day? It was. What's funny is usually it would have been fine, but we had to change our schedule for the other guys to make sure it worked, and then it was unfortunately in contradiction with what we wanted to try and accomplish as a team. But TJ, what was your sidebar that you said you had?
Yeah, no, sidebar. We were talking about the video aspect for the Golden Broom podcast. I love your intro video. Yep, I was jamming out to the hold music, and then when that came on, it's like, and now here we go. Like I was like, oh, we got to do something like this. This is awesome.
So all you have to do, this is crazy, but there's an app called Suno AI, and it generates music for you, and you own the rights to the music, so you don't have to worry about copyright pop. And I do all the stuff on there. I literally go in there and type a prompt of the style of music I want, and then I'll put what I want it to say at certain points, and it generates it for me within 10 seconds.
Dom, write that down.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, it's like $10 a month too. It's awesome. It really is. I love using it. And then I make the intro videos as well. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing graphics for so long now. I have templates saved, so I don't even have to really do much work. I was kind of panicking though before the show because I was like, oh God, there's gonna be so many people in here now. I gotta put a new background up. So this is even a background we haven't used this in months. So
nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Obviously it's your show, but I feel like I want to push you for a minute, Cody, because like he's really given me some tools and some feedback on some of the graphics. I'm very low level designer wise. Like I wouldn't even call myself a graphic designer. Like I just play around to try and get some things to work, but Cody's really, really good at what he does. So if anybody doesn't already know this and they're watching this, obviously reach out to Cody because he's really, really good with the graphic stuff, as you can see behind us too.
Yeah, but see, and that's the thing though. The reason your graphics are so good is because you're very detail oriented, and that's why they turn out the way they do.
Well, thank you, man. I've tried. The layering thing has been a thing that like I used to just put one thing in front of another and be like, it's good. I didn't realize there's so many other things you can do with the layers.
Oh, absolutely.
Playing with
that and the transparency. Oh man, that's so fun.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So how does it feel, Dominic? Because at one point in time you didn't even have a background. You just had the wall back there behind you, and you sitting there doing a show and didn't have no backgrounds or nothing. How's it feel to be able to do that stuff now and getting advice from people like Cody?
Yeah, it's good. I went down the road and this guy was selling these they're really floor mats, but I'm in an unfinished basement that you can't see the rest of, and you don't want to because it is ugly. But this is a stairwell behind me, and it has unfinished exposed studs. So I said I'm gonna nail these things into this staircase and create my background. So behind this is very, very ugly. But luckily it looks nice and pretty up front. So yeah, it's just been trying to trying to dive fully in. And just like you guys, like, you're creating background images with ad sponsors who are awesome for you guys. It's just really committing to it really is the biggest thing, right? I mean, you just do it because it's fun. I do it because people find interest in it, and it's definitely rewarding in a personal sense too, because it's something that we've kind of built from the ground up. And it's what's so awesome. Again, shouting out TJ, he's in it just as much, if not more than me now. So like I finally have a partner here who lives and breathes it as much as I've been doing. The other guys on the show are great. They come in, they have a great time. It's really, really fun. But the background work has always been a lot of one-sided stuff. And now we're sharing it. So it's really a lot more enjoyable when someone is at that level with you at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I'm thrilled for the future for y'all, because I know how hard you've worked on it over the last few years, and seeing where you guys are now and the fact that y'all paired together and both have that same mindset of growing, that makes me so happy.
Two heads are better than one.
Amen to that.
And he's younger. So like he was texting me last night at like 11, midnight, 1, and I didn't see him until like 6 in the morning because I'd fallen asleep on the couch. It finally caught up to me. I'm almost 40 years old. It's hard to keep up with these young guys like TJ anymore.
That sounds just like me and Cody.
Oh, really?
I'm the night owl that's sending him messages all night long. He's in bed early, and then by the time I get up, he's already up and at it and done blowed up my inbox.
Exactly. Chris will stay up till like 2 o'clock in the morning, it seems, and then I'm obviously asleep, and then I wake up at 5:30, and I'm like, all right, I'll respond now.
It's funny because last night was just such a dumb thing that I texted him too. It was what was it? It was post this article, and then I'm in bed and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, no, I'm gonna post this article. I'm not gonna wait for him. And then so I sent him, never mind, I got it. And he gets back to me at what, like noon today?
Oh no, I got back to you at like 6 something. I woke up on the couch at 4 a.m. I decided to move over to the bed and kind of like get a couple hours of good sleep. But yeah, I was like, I'm not going to text this guy at 4 a.m. and be like, okay, I see it. But yeah, it worked out. And like you guys have a great team. We got a great team. And now we got 2 versus 2 for a national championship. I don't know. Actually, Vandy, are you leaning towards some LSU hate here? Or are you cheering for the purple side?
So I don't have a dog in the race, but what I will say is I had Coastal Carolina in the bracket finals against my national champion, who didn't even make it to Omaha, and that was Florida State. I picked Florida State way back in February. I thought they were the best team in the country. Obviously, they weren't. They didn't make it to Omaha. I do think they had the best pitcher in the country in Jamie Arnold, but one pitcher is not enough, right? But I did have Coastal Carolina in my bracket finals.
Nice.
And I think I had LSU and Arkansas in the bracket finals in the other side.
Yep.
Dang.
And I actually had I think I had LSU coming out of that and Florida State beating LSU.
Yep, you
did.
But
I think Coastal is the best team in the country. And I don't say that lightly. The way they hit, the way they field, the amount of pitching they have, and just the mindset of Coach Kevin Snall. When you tell a joke in the media room and everybody's too afraid to laugh at it because you're so intense, man, let me run through a brick wall for that guy. I mean, that's what it's about. But
absolutely.
I think Coastal's going to win this. Whether or not they extend the win streak, I don't know. I think that might be a hindrance to them in game 1. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on them in those regards. But you know what? They wouldn't be the first team that lost the first game and came back to win it all.
Very true.
Oh, I've got a question on that. So you said tough things with left-handers that are really talented, and not based on any specific player here, it seems like Coastal in the last few games has really jumped out to an early lead. Is that something
Yes.
LSU's kind of done too? Is that going to mirror each other here, or is LSU kind of consistent across the board?
So they're pretty consistent. The one thing about LSU is in terms of scoring in the first inning, near the end of the season, they were ranked like top in the country in runs in the first inning. So, but really, in Omaha, I mean, it's like they pretty much answered to whatever's been put in front of them. So, like the other night against Arkansas, I mean, you saw Arkansas gets a solo shot, then LSU comes right and bounces back and then take a lead, but then Arkansas takes the lead, then LSU comes and ties it, then Arkansas takes the lead, and then guy gets hit in the head, and somehow we end up winning the game. Weirdest night ever. But, I mean, it's just how they are. It's like they're good at getting punched in the mouth, but they don't rock. They just keep pushing forward. That's just how they do. The one thing about LSU is they score a lot early, then they'll give you a few blank innings, and then innings 5 through 8 they are dangerous because they're warmed up, they're ready to go, and that's in that frame. If you're in a tight game and you can contain them in that stretch, there's a good chance you're winning that game.
This is about to be some of the best baseball all season, which is what we wanted. What
100%.
Most people are going to assume, but that mirrors what I think I would describe Coastal Carolina doing too. Put some runners on the board early, may have a couple blank innings there in the middle where, maybe you leave some runners stranded, but you've been playing solid enough defense. It's not really hurting you. And then you do just enough in those last couple of innings to take the win. I mean, Louisville game notwithstanding, that one was a little bit different. I mean, they jumped out to the early lead. That part was the same, but it was a little bit different. I think they just kind of coasted through that one because they could.
100%. Yeah.
But, yeah, this is going to be, man, I'm obviously looking forward to it no matter what. But with what we've just gone over and described, man, I'm looking forward to it. The most I've ever looked forward to a baseball game without a doubt in my mind, or series, I guess, at this point, right? Because we're getting at least 2 games no matter what happens.
I mean, this series to me reminds me of 2023 LSU and Wake Forest, the hype that was brought around the matchup between those two, just being 2 very good teams. And it was a situation of, unfortunately, they were on the same side of the bracket because, let's be real, Wake Forest was better than Florida in 2023. They just got paired with LSU early, unfortunately, and it was some of the best baseball I've ever seen in my life. And I still say that Tommy White walk-off against Wake Forest was much better than Jared Jones' walk-off hit the other night that everybody's trying to hype up. That was still my all-time favorite walk-off. So, But I think that this matchup has that kind of potential. I really think this is going to be low scoring. This isn't going to be a blowout by any means. I don't care. I just don't see it happening. I would be surprised if either team scored over 7 runs in any of the games. Like, it's just that. I think it's going to be that good of baseball played. Both have very good defenses. Fielding percentage-wise, Coastal, I think, is like, a 9.78, and LSU is like a 9.81. I mean, there's not much of a difference in them. That's 2 very, very good fielding teams. I really see this being such a tight matchup, and I'm all for it. It'll be stressful, and I'll be wanting to scream the whole time, but it's worth it.
So, Cody, I got to ask you.
Yep.
One of the numbers I've seen with Coastal over the past couple of weeks is 7th inning on, they lead the nation in run differential. And my understanding is it's not close at all. They're averaging like 5 runs a game from the 7th inning on. With some of the younger players at LSU, like Curiel and some of the other young guys, when that starts happening, are they going to be mature enough to be able to turn it back around and get back into it?
Oh, 100%. I don't think there can be anything thrown at these guys that's going to rattle them at this point. I think had this been a few weeks ago, that might be a different story. But I think at this point, every player on both lineups are so dialed in and ready for this pressure that I don't think you can throw anything at them. The only thing that Coastal is going to see this weekend that's different than what they've seen all week and really all season is the crowd size. because their games, they have not seen that 1,000% full capacity, standing room only, and it just being a crazy stadium. That is going to be something that's different that they will have to embrace. It's not going to be like when they went to Auburn. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the Auburn crowd was wild and rowdy and all that, but it wasn't that many people. This will be 20+ thousand people. This will be a completely packed stadium. I know that the entire state of Louisiana, they left today to go up there to try to get tickets to even get in. I respect it. I love it. That will be something that will be very different for Coastal to see. I don't think it's going to mess with their heads or anything like that because they're built for it. But I also think that these young players at LSU are about to see something they've never experienced either. I mean, this crowd is about to be the rowdiest crowd they possibly will ever see. Because ain't nobody going to be sober in that stadium. I wouldn't even be surprised the kids were drunk at this game. I mean, it's going to be crazy.
Oh man, yeah, it wouldn't really surprise me. Sneak some Jello shots. That's crazy, right? Is that still like way out of left field for you guys to even be caught up to?
Yeah, I'm loving the Jello shot challenge too. Every year I get excited for it. You know, we sold almost 70,000 2 years ago, which that was a very inflated number because Get Gordon is one of those like lawyers that's like on billboards everywhere in Louisiana, and he bought a ton of shots to end it at 68,888 to match his like phone number or something. And this year, his new thing that he's done is he couldn't be at the College World Series because his daughter is getting married, but he's pledged to buy 888 shots every day the LSU's in Omaha.
Holy cow.
That's why their number is what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the fans are buying like crazy, but that is the reason that they're so far ahead in that challenge. So it's a little unfair.
Joe, is it Moglia? TJ?
Yeah.
Moglia, he is a tycoon. He's a billionaire. And
Gotcha.
He is very heavily involved with Coastal Carolina. He was even the head coach of the football program.
He was the head coach of the football team for a while, yes.
And the company that he, owns or whatever is the highest investor in or whatever you want to call it has got their name on the stadium there in Omaha. Is that right, TJ? Isn't he the –
Yeah. He was at one point the CEO for Schwab. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, I'm thinking like he might make this last ditch play to like just to get Coastal up there with the Jello shots, because you guys know how it works too, right? Like how there's really not that many that are consumed.
Oh yeah.
But I think that was a common misconception because that's the thing. And then I was listening to XM radio where they had the owner on to explain, I have to follow laws here, guys. Like you can come in and tell me you want to buy 3,000 shots. I will take the money for 3,000 shots, but everybody in the bar gets one Jello shot, and then the rest is just the money. And your money total counts the total, but that's not how many Jello shots we give out. He said, first of all, one, you can't, again, the legality of the alcohol part, you can't do that. And secondly, he said, I would never be able to have that many Jello shots ready.
For sure.
But the good news is it's all to charity. So anybody who's upset about it, you can say like, oh, it's not really how many they drank. Sure. But it's all going to good causes. So let's not be too upset and just have fun with it.
Yeah. Cause I want to say every shot, $1 goes to the local food bank for the school that's there. And then 50 cents goes to like the local food bank in Omaha. And it's just such a good cause. I love it so much.
Well, it's such a fun thing because it's really not. You're not buying full beers. You're not buying literal just shots of alcohol. It's a fun thing where you do a couple, you add to the board, and if the people with a whole bunch of money want to just throw extra money, that's great. That's what it's all about in the end, anyway. Mm-hmm. So just have fun with it and enjoy it. I know we've got some people now that we know are one's flying in Hayden. And the other one in Banana Man, who will be making his appearance.
I saw that.
In Omaha. He is driving from Kentucky to Omaha.
Posted a picture next to the arch earlier.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. He's got the car all done up with the Venmo and everything to help him make some money to get out there. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to, like you said, no matter what, I hope anybody from either side who goes just has fun at the party, because apparently Omaha is just one big party, and obviously the baseball is a big part of that when the party's not going on. But before and after, I mean, it's only one of the reasons I want to go out there, but it definitely makes you feel like college days would be back if you ended up out there.
Yes. And one thing I would say, if there's any Coastal fans watching right now, if you're in Omaha, do not be afraid to go to any of the LSU tailgates. They're some of the classiest people you will meet. With baseball fans, they're different than football fans. Whether people like it or not, baseball is a classy sport. What you see on Twitter is not what you see in real life. And these people will take you in open arms. They will feed you good and don't expect anything in return. They're there to have a good time just like you, and they will welcome you with open arms. So please, please do not be afraid to say hello to people.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I've actually experienced that with the rival fan base. To me, having our tailgates right next to each other, their team scored, they'd play their anthem, Vandy would score, we'd play ours. We all shared our food. They had breakfast stuff, we had lunch stuff. I mean, just a great time. Baseball fans are like that. They'll talk crap on Twitter and act tough, but when you get together, you just have a good time. We're here to see some good baseball.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think you'd find the same for Coastal fans, at least from my experience. Unless you're wearing a App State black and gold, you should be okay.
Yep. If you're wearing black and gold, run.
Yeah.
So before we close this thing out, because this has been an absolutely awesome show, which, by the way, I'm just going to tell you now, we are definitely collabing during football season. There's no question about it. I love this. This is tons of fun. But before we close this thing out, let's go ahead and get some predictions. I think it's obvious who everybody's picking and all that, but let's go ahead and get some predictions. TJ, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. I think that this game tomorrow is going to determine what happens. I think that if Coastal's able to get game one, I think that they take the series. I think that if LSU is able to win game one, I think it's going to go to game 3 on Monday, and then I have not even the slightest clue what's going to happen. But if Coastal can get game one without getting to Morrison yet, I like Coastal's chances. We haven't really talked about Cameron Flukie, the starter for tomorrow. He reminds me a lot of Cade Anderson, but from the right side. Great fastball, sits 94, 95. He throws in a big looping curveball, much like Anderson does. So I think you're going to see tomorrow a really, really tightly contested game, low scoring, and it's going to come down to who's able to string hits together. And I think once that inning happens, where you start seeing some innings come together, one team is going to run away with it. I don't think it's going to stay low scoring. I think it's going to be low scoring till one team figures out the other. And then it could end messy for either side.
Interesting. I like it. All right, Dom, what you got?
Man, I went to my first Coastal Carolina baseball game this year. It was luckily against Clemson. At the time, it was the biggest crowd in Brooks Stadium. What's the full name, TJ?
Springsbrooks Stadium. Brooks Stadium's our football field.
There you go. Springsbrooks Stadium, which, by the way, if you are just an average run-of-the-mill college baseball fan of anybody, that one is a really, really awesome setup. I haven't been to a ton of baseball stadiums college-wise across the country, but I've been to minor league parks. It felt like just like a really well-designed minor league park. Obviously a little smaller than some of that, but I mean, just really fun. You walk all the way around it. You're elevated out in the outfield. Our viral clip where they're talking down to Clemson's bullpen, that's awesome. But once I was there, literally lived in the atmosphere and just saw how the team responded to that. It's hard for me to disagree with what I've heard from TJ, what I heard here tonight from Chris as well, which Coastal Carolina may be the best damn college baseball team in the country this year. They just might be. And we're about to see if they can prove it or not. But my thing is, I agree with TJ. I think you've got to try and do everything you can to win game one. And I will say this. I'm not sure, even if you're the best team, that you can win 2 straight against another really good team. So I'm going to say Coastal wins this thing 2-1, but it comes down to everything on the line Monday night, which in a way, for the conference, it'd be better if they win 2 games in a row. But as a fan of just college baseball at this point and having everything matter all on the line on Monday night when everyone's looking for something to watch on TV, that would be the storyline, and I would be ecstatic if that is the way it ends up, because then you're really not going to have a doubt if one of these teams wins it too after a split. So I'll just lean Coastal. I got to lean Coastal, but I think this one's going to be, just like you said, Cody, very tightly contested all the way through.
All right, Vandy, what you got?
So as the neutral person here that doesn't have a dog in the race because we sucked, I do think Coastal is the best team in the country. Whether they can pull this off or not, I don't know. What I'm leaning towards is, being a fan in the SEC, I've seen the LSU pitchers. Good for the most part. But I've also seen them throw some stinkers along the way that make you just say, what was that? I think with the way this lineup for Coastal comes at you, you can't afford to have one of them stinkers show up this weekend. I think Coastal takes it in 3.
Okay. So my pick's going to shock you guys, probably.
Let's keep the clean sweep going, Cody. Just you know what you want to do, but
so, like I said, I think it's going to be close games. Some key factors for me going into this are how Jay Johnson sets his lineup, because that is the one thing that he has done differently this year, is that you don't know who his starting 9 are going to be, because he actually bases that on the pitching matchup that they face. And so, for example, our third baseman, Michael Braswell, he is one of the best defenders you'll find at third base, but his bat's been very cold. I think he's 1 for 34 in his last 35 at bats. Like, it's been rough for him. So there's a chance that he may not even start. And it might be Tanner Reeves, who's transferred from Blinn College, starting, because he's a lefty bat and he's good at elevating pitch counts. Like, he's the guy you can put him in as a pinch hitter. He'll make this pitcher throw him 10 pitches and he'll figure out a way to get on base, whether it's a walk or a hit. Like, it just happens for him. It's weird. I don't understand it. So you might see a guy like that play. When I really look at this game on paper, I was more concerned if LSU would have had to play an extra game against Arkansas, because in that case, you would have seen either Anthony Ianson or you would have seen Cade Anderson. You would have seen one of those 2 guys, and that would have set the championship series in a very not so fun situation. But everything went right. So now you get 2 good pitching staffs going against each other, and I called it preseason. I told Chris that I thought this team was better than 23. I straight up I believed it. And I thought offensively they would be better, actually, which I was wrong on that. I'm happy to say I was wrong. I mean, offensively, we're a good team, but we're not what 23 was. But pitching, though, we're a better pitching staff. They had Paul Skeens in 23, but I'd take the 25 pitching staff over the 23 pitching staff all day. So Cade Anderson, number 1 in the country in strikeouts. Anthony Ianson, number 3 in the country in strikeouts. I love that. Ianson, he's a guy that when he gets hit in the mouth, you'll see Nate Yeske walk out, talk to him, and after that, he's nails. I genuinely believe that Jay is going to load up and go for 2 and just try to sweep it right there and end it. And as much as obviously everybody wants to see 3 games, and it could very well happen, I'm going to believe in my leader, Jay Johnson. I'm his towel boy. I've been dedicated from the beginning. LSU in 2, very tight matchup because of the arms. Cade Anderson, game 1, Anthony Ianson, game 2, with Case and Evans, Chase Shores, those two guys being that last punch to get it done. If it doesn't happen, I would not be surprised, but in my heart, I fully believe it. I'm buying in. Go Tigers. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited.
So let me bust your bubble, Cody.
Always.
I remember a team that had Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter both on full rest that went out and lost a World Series.
Well, there's a difference. I would take Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson over Kumar Rocker and Leiter any day of the week. Those are my boys. Yes, on everything I believe in, I would. There's no question in my heart. Like that, I would like if I had to look in the history of the pitchers we've had at LSU, Ianson and Anderson would be in my top 5 because of what they can do out there.
Okay.
And I'm talking about that's me seeing Aaron Nola pitch in person in college, one of the best pitchers I've ever seen, with Paul Skeens, all those guys. I mean, there's been some legends come through. Ben McDonald. I mean, these two, they're special, and I can never doubt them. And you even say they're not the 2 best on our roster.
I don't think they are.
Wow.
I'll die on that hill.
Hey, Case and Evans is awesome. I'll never doubt that. So.
But see, I'm supposed to be the connoisseur of hot takes, and he comes out with the hot take that he'd take his 2 pitchers over Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. Man, stop it.
I will admit that one I wasn't too upset with LSU taking it in 2. I was actually more upset about that one.
I've got to stand by the boys. I can't ever doubt them. Never will.
Well, that's the cool part here. I mean, you've got an LSU guy who truly believes in LSU, and you've got a Coastal guy down there who believes truly in Coastal. And then there's obviously a little bit of different takes between the two of us as far as no one getting a clean sweep. But, man, I think we're just going to see some great baseball, and it's going to be really exciting. I'm glad we got to do this tonight before, I'm glad they didn't start it on a Friday night because we would have been rushing during the week. And, we were saying the same thing as you, Cody. Like, as Coastal guys, we were like, we want Arkansas to win this just so they have to play another game, right? Like that's
of course
obvious. Like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, yeah. Well, we're cheering for that. And then he goes, "Are you watching this?" And I was like, "I don't have it on." I was standing right there here at this desk. TV's over there. He's like, "You might want to turn it on," because all I hear him go is, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
I've never seen
the error in left field, and I was like, "All right, bring the LSU." I guess here we go.
That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, the cool part is though, there's no excuse now, right? Coastal didn't have to play an extra game. LSU didn't have to play an extra game. You've got strength and strength. Everybody's going to be ready to roll. You've got everybody you want, and that makes it even better.
I'm glad that you said that, Dom, because like that was the whole thing with in 2016. I remember there were a very small minority, but there were people saying, "Oh, well, it's because they played an extra game. They both came out of the losers bracket. Arizona, if they were fully rested, this doesn't happen." And it's like, no, these are 2 teams that are strength on strength. They're both very strong pitchers, pitching staffs. Both very strong lineups, both know how to get on base, and both just know how to win ball games. So I am very happy that they both got 2 days off so that now we can just plant ourselves in front of the televisions and watch some of the best baseball that we're going to watch all season. Because I truly believe if it's a 2-game series, if it's a 3-game series, it's going to be the best 2 teams, best 2 pitching staffs for sure, but the best 2 teams in the nation going at it for the final games.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
TJ, do you have any idea what Coastal's going to do with their uniforms? I'm assuming white tops, teal tops, and black tops, right?
So normally it's pinstripes on Friday. I believe pinstripes on Friday, whites on Saturday, and then we have our Sunday blacks. I don't know if they're going to go that way because they have changed that in the past based on how well they play in whatever uniform. They have played really well in their regular whites. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it also will depend on LSU will be the home team, correct? So
tomorrow, yes.
Yeah, so LSU will be the home team. Will you guys be wearing your whites or your purples?
I actually think we might go championship gold all 3 games.
Okay.
Oh, my.
If you go gold, I could see Coastal going in their teals because they also have an alternate teal, which they did bring to Omaha. But I could also see them wearing their whites, what they were wearing today in the press conference. I think it's going to be one of those two. I think they leave the blacks for Sunday game 3 if they get down to that. But it's I'm leaning pinstripes. I have no idea. I'm talking out of my ass right now. I don't know what they're wearing. But I will say, since we do have a Vandy guy here, I had this idea for Coastal's uniforms. I know that we've got some Coastal people watching. I want Coastal to come out with a black on black uniform, and I want the Vandy pinstripes in teal.
The gangster pajamas. Yes.
That's what I want. And I want Coastal to make that happen. I think it would be sick, especially with Under Armour. Under Armour makes some great baseball apparel, so make that happen.
I've actually wondered if Coastal might have like a uniform they haven't worn all year and wear it in the championship.
Break out those 2016 teals with the Chanticleer in the jersey.
Well, they have worn those though. They have worn those. I think they've worn those in Omaha. I don't think that we have a color scheme that they haven't worn. I don't think that they've worn their grays in a while, but I don't think they're going to wear their grays again. So,
Cody, you want to do an introduction?
Of what?
Take a look down in the.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even see it.
He just popped up while he was talking.
Coach.
Hey,
it's dark,
sorry.
Coach.
Sorry, it's kind of dim lit out here. I've been out recruiting and doing some tournament stuff today, and just got back. I was racing home to hop on with you guys, so I'll be in some light here in a minute. But somebody's got to take the dog out and do all the fun stuff too. So
no, you're good, man. You are good.
You're recruiting, huh?
Yeah, it never stops. So just got visits. We had a tournament at our field today, so got a good look at some 26s and 27s. But it's good. It's good. I was just listening to you guys talking about the jersey stuff. So, but fired up to obviously watch the games this weekend, and I would say probably everybody but Cody's cheering for the Chanticleer. So,
Coastal Carolina once again, America's team.
There you go.
So
that's right.
I got to ask you, Coach, were you actually cheering for Murray State?
Oh my gosh, yes. I wanted them to go as far as possible because obviously it looks really good on our conference and just on our program in general, because obviously my first year at Roane State as an assistant, Coach Skirka was at Walters, so it's cool stuff.
Okay.
Very
so without revealing what your contract is and how much you get paid, please tell me that you were getting paid more than Coach Skirka was at Murray State.
I'm not, but it's crazy because that's what he was getting paid to be a D1 baseball coach. I'll tell you that. It's wild.
He's not getting paid that anymore, apparently, though.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's how it works. You got to pay the man to keep him. I'd be lying. So that's what you do well. You want to keep doing well. That's what you got to do. You got to take care of your people. I know I was at the TBCA this past week, and a lot of coaches were there, and they were like, man, I guess some of them had talked with Dan, and they're like, man, he's getting considered for some big jobs, And I guess I read on the chatter he was one of the final 2 for the Duke position. Mm-hmm. So, Yeah, I mean, that's big time. It's just like he had an older group. I think when teams like Murray State and Coastal Carolina do well and they get to where they're getting to, like this really can't happen in any other sport, like big sport wise. Doesn't happen in football, really doesn't happen in basketball up to the point of like a Final Four, not like where you're getting into the World Series and stuff. But I think what it shows in the era we're in with NIL and things is that, yes, you have to have a talented team. Coastal Carolina, very talented. Murray State, extremely talented. But the juju, as I call it, or the like what they cling to that kind of makes their culture and then their bond as a squad so good. I mean, that's like that extra sauce I think they come in with, and like whatever those coaches are preaching as far as belief and confidence and aggressiveness and situational, like Coastal Carolina, it's been pretty wild to see. Like obviously ton of confidence and they're on this win streak, but it's because they're so consistent in every facet of the game. Like you look, they're going to have all these players that you talk about on these other teams, and it's like Coastal, maybe you can't say like has the elite player anywhere, but they have a guy right under the elite player everywhere that's willing to butt for hit, obviously take hit by pitches. I know, that was one that he was joking about the other day, but like they execute. There's not a lot of times you can point to anything in the College World Series, the regionals, where they didn't execute. That's all. I mean, it's like baseball. I joke all the time. Yes, you got to beat the other team, but really it's just about the other team beating themselves. And if you walk somebody or you hit by pitch or you can get a bunt down, like that stuff's massive. And they execute. They don't, when they have to get stuff done, they get it done. And that's why they're in the position they're in. It's going to be a good 3-game series for sure.
For sure. Well, hey, before we get deeper into it, I just want to say thank you to Dom and TJ for coming on tonight. It's been an absolute blast talking with you boys. Best of luck to the Chanticleers. See, I said it right. I ain't going Chanticleers like everybody else.
Good.
Chanticleers. So, hey, I hope you guys enjoy the game this weekend. TJ, I'm going to follow you on Twitter and definitely want to be chatting it up with you. So, y'all enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Good luck, Cody. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
See you guys.
All right, now let me get this screen squared away the correct way. There you go. Coach, how you doing?
I mean, hey, you guys are moving up in the world. Y'all had five screens, 5 people on. That's pretty easy.
I know. We felt big time tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. We're great. I mean, obviously, I've been extremely busy lately. I hadn't been able to hop on with you guys, and so just glad to be back. Had to get through all the off-season stuff, and now we just got to unpack all this stuff, get ready for the championship series. Another season that's come and gone. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So obviously we work. Hold on. I got a big question to ask, because first of all, congratulations on a very good season this year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were dogs this year, and I loved everything I saw out of y'all. So let me ask you a quick question. Now that you're in the off season, you had to say farewell to some guys that meant a lot to your program over the last few years. What has been your approach to recruiting?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I tell people, just kind of piggybacking on this team and what they've done is I have 28 guys that are moving on from this year's squad, whether they're moving on to play or it's time to hang up the cleats or whatever, so it's a complete rebuild for me. But all the guys that have been on my squad the last 2 years, they were at Roane State before we ever had an indoor built. So it's like, they did a lot of big things. That back-to-back 28-win seasons, that's the best Roane State's done since 1990, 1991. So super credit to them. Obviously, beating Chat State in the tournament, getting into the winner's bracket for the first time. since the late 90s is like that group did such big things to make our program to where we were irrelevant. Now we're competitive, and kind of this next group, the message is like now there's an expectation to win. So I'm excited for it, but how I've kind of gone about recruiting is sounds silly, but like you're trying to make your roster as eclectic as possible in the way of you're going to have a mix of high school kids and transfers and red shirt. Like there's all these variables you're trying to put together. But what I will tell you is I'm going to be a little bit different than I think a lot of squads that we're going to be playing against, because as of right now, going into the fall, I've only got one transfer. I may have 2, 3 at the most, but one transfer. Every other guy on my roster is a guy recruited out of high school, who I think those kids are getting neglected right now because coaches that recruit, they either want to recruit a guy who's already been recruited by somebody else and is either older, or at least to that coach, he can see, oh, this guy, somebody else recruited him to play college ball, so he must be able to do it, right? Whereas I've taken the I guess mindset of going out, finding guys that are hungry for an opportunity in high school, and hopefully able to land some more talented players that maybe would have considered D1 or D2 baseball, that maybe that's not an option for them. 5 years ago it may have been for this player, but it's not now. So just trying to build the roster based off high school kids. And again, I think very much like Coastal and Murray State in some ways. I know they have a mix, but bringing them into our culture and let's go to work at it, So that's what I would say. It's a complete rebuild, completely new team. Got about 8 to 9 returners that none of which were everyday guys that saw in a immense amount of time. So I'm excited. It's kind of the next step in the journey. As a young coach, is what I'm about to do right now. So I'm very excited for it.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you can talk about specific players or anything, but a situation, a guy like Grayson Burleson from Summertown, that was a D1 recruit at the top level, committed to Vandy, that's about as top level as you can get, right? A national name program, who decommits and then ends up going out of state to a JUCO. How does that make you feel as a coach that a kid like that gets out of the state? Do you feel like the teams in state failed him, or is it just one of those things where he just wasn't interested?
I think it's one of those where he just wasn't interested. Like, I think when you commit to a school like Vanderbilt, that's big time, right? Like, that is the big time. So then when that doesn't work out, like, I think you kind of are looking for something different than everybody else is doing. And obviously, I don't know his reasons. I don't know all those things, but like making the decisions off what's best for him. I think maybe like, what, like if I want to keep playing, maybe it's better if I go a little further away, or maybe I get out of state, or who knows, maybe you just got a really, really attractive offer that's like Columbia or Mala that are close to him couldn't offer, like that's very well could be the case. But yeah, I don't know. It's just every kid's got to find a fit, and sometimes maybe going out of state's better for that. I just try to worry about the kids I can get, and the kids that are ready to come to me. I'm gonna get a little bit more lighting in here. Hold on.
No, you're good. So, Chris, let me ask you, with what you have heard from our talks tonight about Coastal, what are you expecting like this weekend? Really, like I know you said you see 3 games and all that, but like, what do you really think?
I think one of the LSU pitchers is going to throw a stinker.
I hate you.
and that's just being real, because we've seen them do that.
Yeah.
And it's been a minute since they've done it.
Yeah.
So they're due to throw a stinker at some point.
It's fair.
And
Well,
I
now
think
is not
that's
the
the
time.
difference. No, it's never the time to throw a stinker, but you know as well as I do, we've seen that from these guys.
Sure.
And heck, I'm sure you guys talked about it in the previous segment, but like Coastal can play. Like there is no fluke. Like LSU's best arms could be on for 3 games, and Coastal could still barrel baseballs and just play good baseball. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like that's how good these two teams are. Like, I wouldn't be shocked by any means, if there's a stretch, whether it be like early innings of one of these games or just a big inning in the middle somewhere where like Coastal just like pops LSU in the mouth and like goes on a run. But also, it is LSU. So you can, never really feel like they're out of the game because obviously you're going to say, well, yeah, it's LSU. They're going to be more talented, but, it's baseball. Most talented team doesn't always win. You don't have to, it's kind of like overcome the giant now. I joke with people. I've now got to the point in my young career, but it still seems like it's taken forever. I beat every team in our conference except for Walter State. It's like the big Goliath. That's my next one. I got to check off the list. The last one, right? Mm-hmm. And I know the truth of it is, I don't have to, be better than them all year. I just got to be better than them for a game or 3 games. Yeah. Same thing for Coastal, but Coastal is pound for pound just as good. So I think that insight about LSU's pitchers should kind of don't think something where I would the pressure is definitely on Coastal. Mm-hmm. They've got the expect right like roll. It's not that LSU pitch. Going, but I don't know. I would say the only thing I would be disappointed in is a 2-game series. I just want to see 3. I want to make it last as long as possible.
That's what we need. So let me ask you, with D1 going down to a 34-man roster. Obviously, there's not the room that they normally have with a 40-man roster. That's a lot of kids that are not going to have a home like they normally would have. And I feel like that's going to benefit junior college more than anything, because a lot of these kids, they might be like, well, I want to go pro, but I don't want to have to sit the bench and lose a chance to shine. Have you seen any of that play in effect for you in recruiting yet?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I won't give the kid's name, but I had a young man on a visit last week that he was at a Division I school, had a really, really good redshirt freshman year, like put up offensive player, hit 300 plus as a redshirt freshman at a Division II. And, his dream is to play Division I baseball professionally, right? Like that's what he wants to do. So he's looking at coming down to junior college this next year in order to propel himself, because that's why I think you're going to see more go JUCO instead of dropping down to maybe D2, is if what their sights are still on to do big picture wise. It's not a for sure, but it is definitely a better guarantee for playing time. And if you just went somewhere and you redshirted and you didn't get to play, you need to play. So like for him, he was at a D2. So it makes sense for him to consider, this route. But also, if he was at a D1, well, obviously, if, now truly people don't realize 95% of high school kids, truly, their best decision is to go to junior college, because if you are a high school kid and you go to a school with a 34-man roster limit as a true freshman and
You're
you
not playing.
redshirt, if you redshirt and you don't play, don't play at all, they're going to tell you you need to go in the portal. Like it's not even going to be a question for you probably, unless they really see like, hey, this guy graduated, now year 2, it's all you. Like, it's your time. But, if there's not really an outcome for you to get playing time as a true freshman, like, don't waste the time going. Go ahead and go to JUCO. And I think a lot of these Division I coaches, the really good ones, are getting smart too about, identifying kids they like, but kids that aren't ready yet, and saying, hey, I like you. I'm going to continue to follow you. Like, you're somebody that's truly on my radar. This is your best decision. Like, you need to go to this level, or you need to go to this school, XYZ, and we will follow you. And I think, but yeah, it's going to make it more challenging now. NIL is obviously in the picture, but if you only got 34 roster spots to work with, essentially, you better be good at evaluating, and if you're not, you're going to pay for it. Like, you better make sure it's the right fit for you and your program, checks the boxes, because I know kids can leave and move around and stuff now, but 34 is a tight number. It is. So
absolutely. We'll, so with your players that you have coming back, how does summer baseball work out in the junior college ranks?
A good question. I've got a lot of guys that or a good handful are playing for the Atlanta Braves scout team, which is a summer 18. He runs they run an 18U, 17U. They've got a handful of teams. But really, the main thing I just tell them is, I don't care where you play, I don't care who you play with, I don't care anything other than you've got to make sure you're playing, because if you don't, it's going to take you like 2 weeks to really catch up once we get here in the fall. If it takes 2 weeks in the fall, then you're already at the bottom of the ranking hierarchy for me, and you're crawling back up. So it's like, I don't care what you do, just play so you're not shell-shocked whenever you get here in the fall. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So do you have special rules for pitchers when they go play summer ball in terms of like what their length that can be used is?
Yeah, like I had some guys coming out of high school that really got a lot of innings, and they've kind of been resting for the last month, and they'll come back and they'll start pitching a little bit more in July. But really, it has to do with their innings pitched in the spring before. If and then too, just kind of communicate with how their arms are. Pretty much with they put on the pitch count rules in TSSAA, all the guys pretty well know what's too much, what's okay. So that stuff's good. I haven't had any issues come up there, but I will say there's a lot of I would like schools, obviously Division I level. They've sunk a lot of money into these guys. They are very peculiar about how much they're throwing in summer leagues. Like they may throw a little bit, but then they'll shut them down, and I think there's good reason to that, because pitching and defense are obviously, like you can't let your pitching, it's valuable. So I don't know. It's a different conversation with each pitcher. Some can throw more, some need to throw more. Some it's like, you're good. Like I just want your arm to be in the best shape possible. So this is how I want you to navigate now through mid-August before you get to campus. So,
gotcha.
How about go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to ask about, have you had some players move on to the D1 level this year? I know one for sure has. Dent has moved up to D1 level, but do you have any others going that route? And if you do, tell us where they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, right now, as far as Division I don't have as many as last year. I've got some guys going D2. I've got John Pierce, which I think you talked to John at one point. He's going to Carson Newman, which they had a phenomenal year this year. They were a top 20 team, D2 all year. Cade Martin is going to Trevecca. He was one of my bigger bats this year and was able to stay healthy, so I'm excited for him. And then I think that's a huge pickup for them. Zach Wilson's going to go to UT Southern. I've got a couple guys that are still waiting with a handful of offers. Grady Parsons is going to Shorter, which is in Georgia. They're in the Gulf South with Tribeca and Lee, schools like that as well. And then I've got a good handful of guys that have multiple offers, but they're still just kind of waiting water, kind of waiting to see what their best fit is. So, but very I think by the end of the cycle, which I guess, probably has got about a month left, but probably by the end of that month, we'll have 15 guys or so that are getting to move on and play at the 4-year level. One or two D1 guys, 7 or 8 D2, and then some NAIA guys as well, probably 5 or 6 NAIA guys. Carson Yates, he's going to Erskine, which is D2 in South Carolina. So, just got a handful committed already and probably another handful that are still waiting their options. But, when you put it's easy. You have more guys when you don't have good seasons, guys don't get to move on and play. Everybody wants winners, right? So super pumped that we've got a bunch of guys that are able to play and they're good. Gosh, I mean, they're not kids anymore. They're all young men, but just great young men that I think all those guys are going to benefit those programs immensely. I'm pumped about that. So. One of my high school buddies I played high school ball with, he just got the head coaching job at Brentwood Academy, Matt Brooks.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's a big one. He's been coaching in Memphis the last couple of years, but he just got that job, and I'm super pumped for him. So it's a pretty big time job there. And then talking about Dan Skirka again, I mean, just Murray State, what they did was phenomenal. And like I said, didn't really get to talk to him or get to know him much because it was my, first year at Roane, and that was a whirlwind. But I remember he was at Walters, and he was at our conference tournament recruiting, early May whenever we were playing, and we were waiting to play one of our games, and I saw him. It's like, hey, Dan, Cam. And he's like, yeah, I remember you, and he was nice. And but really, really cool to see what he's done. And obviously now with him getting an extension, it's cool to see what he'll be able to build there because maybe they'll be able to sink some more money into his facilities and things like that. But I think it's pretty wild. I don't know if y'all have talked about this. I know you saw it on Twitter, I'm sure. But, like, the Cinderellas last 5 or 6 years, they've been from Missouri Valley. And State. Obviously, Dallas Baptist used to be in the Missouri Valley. And then there's another one that went on a run too. But they're all from the Missouri Valley Conference, which I think is really cool. Obviously that conference is playing some good baseball. There's no doubt. And then I'm sure you guys, you brought on the other guys, y'all. I don't know if they were talking about this, but like the Sunbelt is trying to. I think they're trying to like pull some more teams in. Like they've had conversations with MTSU. There was another school. I think Louisiana Tech wanted. Yeah, wanted maybe La Tech wanted to come into it, but the Sunbelt's like, we don't know if we want you.
Yeah.
At teams because obviously I think with Coastal going, they're trying to strike while the iron's hot. Like, hey, maybe we can turn into like a power five, like the next Power 5 since the Pac-12's not there. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's pretty cool.
When it comes to baseball, they're number 3 overall behind the SEC and the ACC. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, easily.
Yep.
Easily.
I agree with that. Guys, how much you follow my mom. I think they won 4 games. West Kentucky, amazing year. They killed us this year. They're pretty good. You know, I think we don't have the time to talk about it, but I think obviously it's for Vanderbilt because you end up, you know, finishing the spring spot in the, you know, conference tournament. But I think it's so hard to sustain that and just like keep it all the way through. So obviously it was a massive letdown, but good year for them. It's just I know it was not, you know, up to their standards. It's a letdown. So was feeling real bummed for you as a Vanderbilt fan. So
I mean, I'm just going to say the hitting coach experiment with Jason King didn't work out. You know,
yeah,
he had some good hitting teams at Dayton. For whatever reason, it didn't translate. He decides to move on. What I'm impressed by is it only took 3 days to fill that spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense to me that, you know, obviously, I think, you know, Coach Corbin would want to, you know, continue to bring his guys in there. Obviously, you know, just that buy-in and kind of knowing what Vanderbilt is and Vanderbilt's about and like the expectations there. Like, I think obviously it's a phenomenal hire, at least from the back end that I can see. Maybe I'll get to chat it up with him at Vandy camps when I go work those in a couple weeks. But it'll be, I think that was a good hire. I mean, they're doing everything they can to be competitive. I mean, holy cow, the SEC is just nuts. It's crazy. I mean, Arkansas felt terrible for them. You know, we probably should have been watching LSU and Arkansas play again last night, but you know, they had the top spin ball to left field that, you know, glove and then the line drive, and gosh, just felt terrible for Arkansas. But it's just the whole SEC. It's talented. How did I haven't looked. Who's doing the best on the bracket right now?
So it's funny you say that. I actually have not looked at like the actual pick'ems we've been doing, but I got invited to a private league that's got like Anthony Rizzo in it and a bunch of others. It's like you have to buy in. It's like $25 to enter. And I got a notification on Twitter that if LSU wins it all, I win the pot. So I get
awesome.
So I get like $1,200 if LSU wins, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. So did you pick Coast on that bracket? Did you pick Coastal to get to the College World Series?
Yep, sure did. Yeah, I had Coastal in the finals against LSU.
Wow, I had UCLA winning it all, so obviously was wrong there. But I think I had them and maybe them in Arkansas is who I had.
Yeah.
I'll have to go double check and look there. But, I mean, I'll just tell you this. Nobody had Murray State in the College World Series.
No.
Hardly.
No. I didn't. So I actually, on one of my brackets, I had Murray State actually winning their regional. But I did not have them past that.
Yeah, wow.
I had Georgia Tech winning that regional.
Yeah, I think I did too. I mean, it was just crazy the upsets. Like also that like UT San Antonio beat Texas twice. Like that's wild. So
see,
they had their number.
I saw something interesting. I think Murray State was a different thing because they had 28 new players. I don't think they were the most active in the transfer portal, but what I did see is that the 3 teams that were the most active in the transfer portal, Vanderbilt, Texas, Florida, and LSU, were the top 4. And 3 of them did not make it to Omaha. And the teams that were older and were more developed are the ones that did. That's wild to me.
Yep.
So, and that's something to be said there for sure. I'm not quite sure, that I want to delve too deep into the what's and the whys, but it's interesting. So obviously those guys are talented, all those schools picking them up, and they all turn. Then only one team can win it, and it's like, man, see what happens. It's crazy.
See, let me ask you this. Vanderbilt's got 2 guys that are not playing summer ball this year. Per Coach Corbin, he's not letting them play. He wants them to stay on campus. The freshman, Rustin Rigdon, who lost 15 pounds during the season. And then he wants Mancini to stay and work on his mechanics. Do you have guys that you would prefer don't play so they can work on health or mechanics or something, or would you rather have them play?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously there's a good bulk of them you want playing, but you're going to have those scenarios where, for different reasons, like you said, I want guys to, train in some different ways. And I would definitely say Coach Corbin knows his guys pretty dang well. So if he's advising that, it's probably for some really good reasons. And that's kind of how I feel about my guys. Like, there's a couple that, aren't playing, and they're doing some separate training, and that's kind of for good reason. Whether there's some things they need to fix outside of the competitive aspect, because I feel like when you get in a game, you've got to be ready to compete your tail off, and you can't really spend a lot of time thinking about mechanics, And if you are having to think about mechanics because something's happened like that during a game, you're either not ready for that moment yet, or it's something that you got to fix outside a game, because when you get in game, like, your mind's going to hyperfixate on the other things. So even if we try to visualize, slow your breathing down, you think prepared, your body just kind of goes back to what it knows, motor wise. So if you've got some things you want to change with the swing, taking an off season to do that's a lot better than, hey, keep playing, you can figure it out as you play. It's not always the answer.
Okay. It's interesting. I wanted the coach's perspective on that. We as fans can debate it and talk about it all the time, but just hearing it from a coach makes it sound different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know that's a hard one, because I know as fans we're always, I do it too sometimes. It's like, this guy did this, and now we're just, he's not going to go do this. Well, man, I don't know if I like that idea, but I think one thing you get that people don't maybe realize as much, because you miss out on it because they don't, show it, is how much time in the fall we spend playing. And so, like, I would say obviously Division I, may be a little different, but not much. Like, at a junior college, we're inter-squatting so much that even within, like at D1, they get to play 2 games versus outside competition plus inter-squatting. Like, their top guys are probably getting every bit of 70 to 80 plate appearances in the fall. And so enough to say, like, hey, I've played a fall season, and, there's so much data out there now with TrackMan and Rapsodo and things going on where they can look at video and they can adjust and kind of understand, like, hey, we want to do this to see if we can change your attack angle on baseballs and do some stuff to adjust. And I think they can kind of get that in the fall too. So that may be another reason for the break in the summer. But I mean, I know me as a player, if I ever got the opportunity to go play in the Cape Cod, I'd be itching to go up there and play. So,
Amen to that.
The worst baseball / non-baseball movie out there is Summer Catch. You guys have ever seen that with Keanu Reeves?
Yes. Great movie.
Okay.
He's pitching in the Cape Cod League in that movie. It's pretty good stuff. Got Jessica Biel in it too. So,
yep.
But it's one there for your watching, Chris, if you ever get the chance.
Yeah, you definitely need to. So, Coach, I have a question. When are you going to send me out on some scouting assignments in Alabama?
I mean, right now, let's go. Let's get on it. I get emails a lot from kids from Alabama, and I'll kind of monitor their stuff. I think I've told you guys before, the hardest part for me is that bringing in a state. I get six out of state waivers that covers their out of state tuition. Costs $14,000 for us to come from state. So out of state waiver covers out of state. And that means I've still got to cover their in, which I'm $5,000 my scholarship budget in our state. So what I mean is say do usually that he picked up right. Definitely you saw guys getting missed. There's still some diamond in the rough stuff, but yeah, I know I need to send you out there to Ardmore and some of those schools up close to you. That Mountain Brook would be another good one. So
Mountain Brook is right down the street. So
yeah, well, that's a really good one. So you can follow the news there, see if you have any 2026s that are starting to get fired up. But hey, also, I don't know how close
we worked hard. We did work hard at trying to get you a pitcher, and but it didn't work out for you.
Hey, you know what? I thought that was awesome. I just didn't think it was a good fit, and that's not like I think he's amazing. He's gonna now I got to compete against him. He's gonna be like, oh, I remember that coach said. And I don't he's extremely talented. Like I just I was like, man, I think there's probably some schools that would be a little bit better fit, and a lot of it's thinking about money and finance stuff, kind of figuring that out. But super pumped for him. He trained extremely hard in his redshirt year. I think he was just in kind of a tough situation that he probably learned and grew from a lot. But that was cool. I was glad you guys got to do that interview. Pretty awesome.
Absolutely. What were you going to say before that?
I don't remember now. Lost. Oh yeah, actually I do remember. I know it's kind of a little further from you, but University of North Alabama, they just put in a brand new complex. Like they're redoing everything, full turf. So super excited for them. I know they're in the ASUN. They're in the ASUN, which gosh, that's getting to be a really competitive league now too. Which a lot of Southern teams, all the like Florida Gulf Coast, Stetson, Lipscomb, Austin P, UNA, Queens, Eastern Kentucky. They got a good handful of schools that's in the ASUN. I was all those conferences now are getting so competitive as well. But yeah.
So I do have a suggestion for you though.
Yeah, I'm ready.
On your next facilities upgrade, We need the dirt area of your field
Oh, God.
red, just like it is at Northeastern.
Oh gosh.
A colored
Oh
field.
I'm sure
yeah.
that's the top of his priorities.
Yeah. The go with the red turf.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, heck. I think this off season we are going to turf the mound and home plate, which is going to be big for a lot of repair cost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of obviously you're shoveling out a little bit of money on the front end, but 3 or 4 years down the road, it'll be paid for immensely because every year I'm having to get a pallet of clay for the mound,
Yeah.
and then you're dealing with turfus, and it's just a lot of work there that you're having to
Yep.
do. So that'll be something that's really good for us. But as far as
Mm-hmm.
whole field goes, probably a stretch.
So let me ask, do you like turf fields?
I'm a mix. I'm a big natural surface guy, but it is
Yeah.
hard to have a good natural surface. Like I work at ours all the time, and I'm trying to get ours to be awesome with a low budget and doing it. Me and my assistant are just wearing it out, doing it ourselves, and the best way to put it is we've got it. We try to get it looking about as best as we can with the finances and machinery that we have, and
Yeah.
I love a natural surface, but it takes time and money to
Yeah.
get it right, and that's why I like fields like University of North Carolina. They're still an all natural surface, and it is like it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
How good it looks, but it's because they got a team. They got a team probably of
Yeah.
3 or 4 guys on a grounds crew that are taking care of that field every day, and you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you cut the grass at Roane State?
Yeah, yeah.
My man.
I, I definitely have. There's only about 2 people on it. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Usually because it frees me up to do something else I need to do. But yeah, I'm still cutting the grass over there. I love to do it.
Love it.
And I guess I did think it was funny. They were trying to hype up and make the story more awesome than it already is. It's already awesome. That they wanted to say that about Skirka cutting his own field. And he's like, no, like our school has professionals that are getting paid to do that. Like heck yeah, they better be. You got too much.
Yeah.
You got too much going on at that level to be worrying about owning the field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
I might actually have somebody that would be grateful for an opportunity to go ride a riding lawnmower right now, but that's a story for another day.
oh, God.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You might
Well,
know
hey-
who I'm talking about. Somebody sitting at home right now, not doing anything.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Give them something to look forward to, right?
Yes. It's very true. Very true.
Hey, boys, I've got to hop off here. My son just ran out of his bedroom and is looking like he's delirious right now. So it was great talking tonight, but I've got to go get him put back to bed. So
It's okay. I get it. I mean, I know it's been a while since we got to catch up. So thank you guys. Hopefully we can do it again soon. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, have a
See you,
good one.
boys.
All right. Later, Coach.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down then because he is literally just standing here just like – he's got a monster truck in his hand and he's just like –
You were looking
buddy.
like that for a minute.
Yeah, like you're good, buddy. You're good. No, so I had a notification come up on my phone and I clicked it and started reading the link and then I sent it over to the computer I'm on so I could read it better while everybody was talking because obviously I was listening, but it was like it was like a work thing that just shot over and I was like, what? And it was a false alarm, so we're good. But no, he is literally buddy, sit, you're good. All right. Anywho. Go ahead and shut this down because he's going crazy. So, all right. So thank you everybody for watching. We have 307 people in here right now. Or 308 now. That blows my mind. So shout out Sunbelt Syndicate. Thank you for this. This is awesome. This is something we've needed. It's the most views we've had on the Broom in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
So it really, this is why we do it. So that being said, thank y'all for watching. We hope you enjoy the national championship. Be sure to check us out next Tuesday. We are going to have former Columbia University, Kansas State University, now current LSU Tiger, Seth Darter join us while he's in the summer leagues. He's transferring into LSU for next season. Going to be a great story to tell. We can't wait to share it with you. But until then, thank you for watching. Enjoy the national championship, and we'll see you next week.
On the diamond where they play, sweeping competition.